Thanks for tuning in to Monster Mashup. Today we're going to be taking a look at the Tamagotchi Pac-Man Nano. I was pleasantly surprised by how much I enjoyed this device, and I hope you will too. If you like my content, feel free to subscribe, comment, like, share, all that good stuff. So the theming in this device is amazing. If you look on the front packaging, you'll see the Tamas running around in a maze, and that whole feel is reflected throughout every decision they made design-wise. The sound is basically emulated from the arcade game. There's a ton of little sound effects in it, more than some of the more expensive units. Instead of waste, you have to deal with ghost attacks, and you have to press a button to get Pac-Man to come chase the ghosts away. And if you take good enough care of your Tama, then eventually they'll start writing Pac-Man as kind of a hidden final form. I want to go ahead and get out of the way. Probably my only complaint about the device was my B button was a little bit stiff. It was maybe, I want to say 80% of the time when I would go to press it, it would press when I wanted it to. I had to really kind of press its center and a little bit hard to be able to get it to register. Now, that's going to segue a little bit into the next part. I'm going to talk about the games. There are two games to pick from here. I'm just going to show them real quick. In the first game, you're just moving Pac-Man up and down to try to collect dots and avoid ghosts. If you touch one ghost, then you get a game over. In the second game, you have 3 different directions you can face. You change with the A, B, and C buttons, and you're trying to pick up the fruit and dots, and you're trying to avoid the ghosts. For that one, you can hit up to 3 ghosts, but you also get power pellets, and that means you can eat the next ghost that pops up. Which, from what I've seen, I believe whenever you eat a power pellet, it automatically means a ghost is going to pop up the next time. There are 3 different endings that I'll let play out here. The first one is the good ending, if you get enough points to pass and don't get hit by a ghost. Second one is the game over screen. And the last one is a little cutscene you get if you get a perfect ending. As I was mentioning before, a really awesome job with the theming, and also that one complaint that I had about the B button being stiff. When you're playing these kind of games where you need some degree of reflex, it can get in the way and you'll find yourself sometimes losing when you press the button a couple times and it just didn't quite register. Now that said, I've run into the same problem on some of the other Nanos, and these buttons do feel better than some of the other Nanos, so I'm not sure if that's just a case of it's just the units that I got, but it's something to keep an eye on. If you're going to pick this up, it's still fairly cheap in 24 times. I would get a new one just to be safe and take good care of the buttons. The last bit that I'm going to touch on here is the death screen, which in this one, your Tama will wave at you and make a happy noise in the center of the screen. It'll go off to the side. If they're writing Pac-Man, then Pac-Man will go with them. And then they just don't come back, and Pac-Man kind of wanders around the screen. You could say it looks like maybe he's looking for where your Tamagotchi is. But if you look at it for what it is, they both go off the left side of the screen, then only Pac-Man comes back. And you have to wonder if Pac-Man got a little hungry. That's the good ending. There's also a bad ending if you let the ghost chase your Tamagotchi for too long. then you'll start to see the glitches coming from the side of the screen, and that's a reference to in the Pac-Man arcade game. If you get to a high enough level, the game runs out of memory, so there's just a bunch of random numbers and stuff, and then the game crashes. So it's kind of a cool reference. From what I've read online, your Tamagotchi gets consumed by the glitches, and then Pac-Man comes up too late to save them, and that just kind of sounds horrifying. But, I mean, I suppose that's what you get for letting the ghost chase your Tamagotchi for too long. That said, as far as difficulty for this unit, I finished my run with Mamechi and started it back up. I wanted to see that other death screen so I could get some footage for it, and I left it alone for like a day. There were multiple ghosts chasing my like baby form, and then I went ahead and cleared it just so it would like go to the next form, and hopefully I'd be able to see the screen from that one. But it evolved all the way up to an adult with me never playing with it or feeding it. It still got to the adult stage. So it's probably a good one to, for a beginner or whatever, or if you're into the nanos, or, if you're like me and you're running 14 different Tamas at once, it's an easy one to stack on there. I think overall, though, with the different forms, with the games just being amazing, they're probably my favorite games I've played on a Tamagotchi device before. I think it's worth it, worth checking out. If you have any appreciation for retro games or Pac-Man or anything, especially, which is bonus points, I do think the black shell looks a little better than the yellow shell, but I think they both look pretty cool, so I think the yellow shell is a hair cheaper if it matters. Overall, I hope you enjoyed my review. If you feel like it, do any of those promotion things like liking, subbing, sharing, all that jazz. Thanks for watching.